Five by five. Good morning. Thank you. I'm Bear from the internet, and this is the Bear Show, Coffee Time with Bear, which is like a little bit of news, a little bit of intel, a little bit of coffee, a little bit of chat with the chat and the people in the chat, chatting with those people. Um, Probably a little bit of faith, probably a little bit of lunacy. It's me. It's me. It's my life and my brain on display. So thanks for being here. Good morning. You guys know what to do. All the YouTube things, subscribe, ring the little bell icon, comment for the YouTube algorithmic robots, share the show. That's the best way to help the channel out. If you see fit to help the channel out, share the show because, we've been in YouTube jail for well over a year. So YouTube doesn't share the show for us. So the only way this show grows is y'all when you share the show. So good morning, Tim Pack and everybody else in the chat. Lots of folks this morning. Good morning. So the national intel today is really boring because y'all didn't send me any intel at bearindependent.com. When I say national intel, what I mean is the Bear Nation that sends in their own eyewitness reports of things that are happening out there in the world. And this could be it could be a lack of interest. It could also be that in many parts of the world it's like springtime and a lot of people, kids are either out of school or they're about to be out of school. The garden's growing, there's lots of stuff going on, and so maybe you haven't had time to bang out an email to intel at bearindependent.com. But in the off chance that you do, what we're looking for is not news articles and media reporting of interesting things. What we're looking for is the stuff that you are experiencing in your own life with your own eyes, your own ears. For example, Lamppost writes in right now, national intel, no one told me that there were tarantulas in Oklahoma before I moved. I have now seen 2 this month. I hate them. Yes, I'm also not a tarantula fan. As a guy that was born and raised in upstate New York and has lived and worked in 38 of the lower 48, the first tarantula I ever saw was outside of Lawton, Oklahoma, in the Red Hills Wind Project. And we had an incredibly large 72-ton Tesmec trencher. And it looks like a chainsaw on dozer tracks, but gigantic. It's like 70 feet long. And you carve a trench into the earth to lay your power cable and your commo cables in. And this beautiful red clay was coming out of the trench. And I was just walking behind the trencher, watching it do what it does. And there was a ball of clay about the size of a softball. And I tapped it with the toe of my boot. And 8 legs erupted out of this ball of clay. And this tarantula stood up and looked at me like, "What do you got?" And what I got is fear and anxiety and very fast twitch muscle in my legs. And so I punted that thing back into the trench and screamed like a little girl because as a relocated New Yorker, I had never seen a spider that big before. And to this day, I'm no fan. I'm no fan of the tarantulas. They, live and let live, but don't let me see you. Don't let me see you because I'm probably going to kick you in the face if you're a spider. So moving right along. We do have a written brief provided to us by the Dance Monkeys at intel at bearindependent.com. So we'll read this quickly. And I will do my best to keep my commentary on this productive. Now, what do I mean by productive? What I mean is, I've had some folks that have in the last few days or weeks accused me of having Trump derangement syndrome. And I assure you, I do not have TDS. And it's a cop out. It's lazy and sloppy thinking in order to be able to accuse someone of TDS when what they are doing is holding someone accountable to their own words. And so where I have failed here in my reporting on Mr. Trump is by being too emotional and not being logical enough, I've also failed by not providing actionable steps that we can all be taking as a result of the actions of the President of the United States of America. Love them, hate them, don't care. Because that's really what this channel is about. It's about faith and preparedness and homesteading and actionable things that you can do in your life that will create standoff in between you and chaos, that will mitigate risk for you. And so what we've learned here is that if we're going to report on Mr. Trump, we're going to report on Mr. Trump in a way that makes it relatable and actionable, isn't just Bear having a meltdown on camera. So what we're going to do now is we're going to read the brief, and I will do my best to comment on this from a preparedness standpoint so that we have things we can derive actual value from this, because I still believe strongly that general preparedness mitigates a myriad of risks, that there's 1,000 reasons, if not a million reasons, why you need to be prepared. And today we call it preparedness, but 50 years ago, it was just called life. You need to have some food and water put back, maybe a little bit of extra fuel laying around. You need to have a good network of friends and a strong belief system, a strong code of morals and ethics. You need to know how to shoot a gun and, skin an animal, but both of which I will be doing after this brief this morning. This is all still relevant, regardless of whatever the external threats look like, regardless of whether or not you like the person in the White House or not. And I want to be absolutely clear on this. Of all the potential options for president in 2024, Trump was and is my pick. But we need to be careful that we don't begin to police people's speech just like the leftists do, because somebody says something that you don't agree with or that you don't like. And I realize that man is probably has the most pressure of any public figure in the world on him. And I absolutely realize that he inherited a mess. But I also have no option other than to hold people accountable to what they say they are going to do. That is the benchmark that they established, not me. I did not hallucinate all of the claims that they had made. Okay? Those are real. And they absolutely affect every one of us every day. And so to the extent to which we report on politics, geopolitics, and the personalities involved, I resolve to do better to make it actionable for us. Not because I'm suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. And understand, I'm a man. I'm allowed to have my own opinions, my own thoughts, my own feelings. And if people don't agree with that, that's fine. You don't have to watch or participate. But primarily because the best thing that we can derive from this is action as to how we should proceed with our lives. Sarah Kelly said, I tuned in for your thoughts, commentary. Told those with Trump's savior complex to stop being sopping wet, you know what's. Bless you, Sarah Kelly. Oh my goodness. Here comes the crew. Stand by, everybody. The most important national intel we've got. What are you doing? Get away from my jackeries. Oh. Oh. What? What? These babies, very good babies, made in America, not Chinese. Look, not a Chinese baby. Baby, very American, produced right here at home. We have a wonderful baby industry in America, robust, self-supporting, no outside investment, not Saudi Arabia, definitely not Israel, these people. These are American babies. We make the finest babies on planet Earth. Everyone tells me they're beautiful babies, tremendous. These babies, they're so smart. IQ, their IQ is in the thousands. This one built all the rockets for SpaceX. Very talented. Yeah. She knows 19 words. That's way more words than most average stupid babies. This baby's very smart. Yes, I agree. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Why are you here? My baby. Yes, you're a baby. That is true. Babies? Babies, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Can I do my show? Yeah. I was trying to be all serious with the people, and you guys just walked in and got goofy. No, honey. What? No, you can be on the Patreon show with me like you were last night, but this morning. Still? Yeah. Mama? Yeah, we got a schedule to keep this morning because I got to butcher a ram after this. Like the baby? Yeah, it's a baby. That's you. That's you, the baby. I know. You want to do the bubblegum song? Yeah. Yeah. You ready? Icky, sticky, 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 bubblegum, bubblegum, bubblegum. Icky, sticky, 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 bubblegum makes your hands stick to your head. And you pull them, and you pull them, and you pull them away. Good job. All right. Cool. I love you. Good morning. Go ruin mom's life. Okay. Actually, don't. Be nice to her. We love her. Okay. So, as we were saying, see, there's things that matter and things that don't. And there's two of the most precious things in my life right there. Now I know what baby girl version of Bear looks like. Same eyebrow and facial expressions. Yes, Angel. We make one version. It's like the Ford F-150. It may be updated every year, but it's the same truck. It's got the same transmission, the same 5.0, same four wheels. It's the same. We make one version. It's just got a slightly different body style every year. Oh, man. All right. Bear Independent Brief. President Trump's recent approval of Nippon Steel's $55 per share acquisition of U.S. Steel marks a significant reversal from the Biden administration's previous stance. Biden had blocked the deal on national security grounds, arguing that the deal, quote, Biden didn't block anything. Elizabeth Warren and Hunter Biden and Joe Biden probably blocked it because Biden was not coherent. Biden was not officiating the office of the executive. He was not the president. But I digress. Biden asterisk had blocked the deal on national security grounds. By the way, oh, here we go, rabbit hole. When are we going to get heads on spikes? United States Code, traitors are to be killed. Now, I realize that probably sounds extreme. Cool. I didn't write it. Is it the law or isn't it? You know, we talk all the time about this two-tier justice system in the United States of America. There's got to be a way to fix that, boys and girls. And what I mean by this, it's the same idea. If we're being honest here, let's be honest with one another. Oh no, here goes Bear being real, putting himself on display on camera again, just living his life in front of the iPhone. Yeah, welcome, Mazel Tov. Are you a Jew? No, I'm so white and I'm so Christian, even the Christians don't like me anymore. When I say, and others, including Andy Frisella, say that we should throw the pedophiles into wood chippers, I think a lot of people think that that's hyperbole. Maybe for you it is. For me, it's not hyperbole. You see, we hunt those people with Caleb House. And unconnected, I own a wood chipper. The reason one would stuff such heinous human beings into a mess of whirling steel blades or publicly execute them, chemically castrate them, firing squad, make them walk the plank, keel haul them, whatever. The reason is the punishment should be so severe that anybody else who would consider that course of action would think twice. So you make the punishment so severe, so profound, so visible in public that everyone learns a message. See, if you read through the Old Testament, I got this book right here. It's a phenomenal book. It's actually a user manual for people. There's several instances where somebody directly transgresses the word of God. Give you an example. The guy who was picking up sticks on the Sabbath. Why would we? And see, Moses doesn't know what to do with them. So they bring him to Moses, and Moses is like, I don't know what to do. So he prays to God, and he's like, what do I do with this guy? And God goes, kill him. What? I thought he was a jealous God, merciful, loving. Why? Why does this guy get killed? Well, number one, because his actions come directly after the prescription to keep and obey the Sabbath, and he knowingly, intentionally violated it. And then number two, to have a public display for everyone. Now, I want you to think about this. This guy picking up sticks, thumbing his nose at God. Moses prays to God. What do I do? God says, kill him. Moses says, paraphrasing, New Living Bear Translation. So they take him outside the camp because sin goes outside the camp. It's a core foundational biblical principle. And all of the children of Israel stone him to death with stones. Now we know, biblically, there were 603,550 military-aged males. It's believed that there were between 3 and 5 million total people, plus their flocks and herds. This is a significant amount of people. All of the children of Israel stoned him. Why? So that every one of them was to cast a stone. Now, you're probably thinking what Messiah said, let him who is without sin cast the first stone. Now, there's commentary on that, and we'll get there in a minute. So they all stone him. So everyone threw a stone, which means everybody participated in the physical anchoring of, oh, that's sin. This guy was willfully disobedient to the Most High. But at some point, you're just throwing a rock at a pile of rocks. How many hundreds of thousands of rocks does it take before you don't even see the body anymore? It's just a pile of rocks. And then that pile of rocks becomes a monument for everyone else to see. Oh, hey, Dad, why is there a pile of rocks there? Well, you see, son, underneath that pile of rocks is a guy who willfully disobeyed the commands of God. Don't want to end up like him, do you? Nope, sure don't. That's a good idea. You're right. So when the punishment is that severe, it then becomes pain-based anchoring for everyone, which brings me back around to U.S. code. The punishment for traitors is death. And until we keep the law and do what we say we're going to do, people will continue to be traitorous. That's a problem. Okay? That's a problem. So people will continue to abuse the system if there's no consequences. Actually, we're going to pivot off of the written brief. Maybe we'll come back because I do have a couple different articles, both of which are related to what we just talked about. But let's midrash out the Messiah. Let him who is without sin cast the first stone. So there's a woman caught in adultery. 5 guys show up and they all say, Rabbi, this woman's an adulterer. What shall we do with her? And he says, let him who is without sin cast the first stone. And one by one they leave. And then he says, woman, where are those who convict you? And she says, Master, they're not here. And he says, neither do I convict you. Therefore, go forth and sin no more. So the death decree cannot be enacted without 2 or 3 witnesses. So what Messiah was asking the men simply was, how do you know she's a whore? Are you without sin? Nope, because if you're going to kill her, what's going to happen to you? And so one by one they leave, realizing Their heart is just as wicked and adulterous as hers is. And then Torah, Messiah can't convict her because he's not a witness. He did not lay with her. So, where are those who convict you? They're not here. Nope, we have no trial. Neither do I convict you. He can't. Comma. Therefore, go forth. Get out of here, kid. But sin no more. Don't be doing this stuff that's going to be causing people to come here and accuse you of adultery. Okay. So that was the proper application of the word, by the word made flesh. Imagine that. So is it an instance of grace and mercy? 100%. But it's the Torah in action, because that's what Messiah is, the Torah in action. There is so much dust on my screen. You know those cool kids, ADD moment, you know those cool kids that have that canned air where they just go, psh. Well, that helped. All right. Moving right along. Good morning, Mr. Rogers. You know, Mr. Rogers, I heard a rumor that you were a badass Navy SEAL in Vietnam and you're covered in like anchored tats and like all kinds of stuff. And then when you got out of naval special warfare after the Mekong Delta, you came back here to the States and you put together a children's show on PBS. And that's why you always wore sweaters, was to cover up all of your tats and your absolutely ripped physique and all of your scars from when you were out there putting Charlie in his place. And that's why you talk so nicely on camera, was because you just got tired of all the death and blood and mayhem. And so you're just like, good morning, friend. So who knows? It's just a rumor. There's to our earlier comment about traitors. Reporting from RT, understanding that RT is Russian propaganda, always consider the source. Pentagon employee arrested for trying to leak secrets over Trump grievances. Nathan Lash allegedly tried to pass classified data to a foreign government, citing disagreement with the U.S. president's policies. An IT specialist at the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, has been arrested for allegedly attempting to provide classified information to a foreign government, citing his opposition to President Donald Trump's policies, according to the Justice Department. Nathan Villas Lash, 28, of Alexandria, Virginia, was charged on Thursday with trying to share classified information with someone he believed represented a foreign government. He was detained following an FBI sting operation. Lash, who has worked as an IT specialist in the DIA's Insider Threat Division. Oh, Insider Threat Division. How poignant. So cute. That's what we would call Tootsie. Oh, it's so Tootsie. It's so cute. Lash, who's worked as an IT specialist in the DIA's Insider Threat Division since 2019, allegedly expressed intent to share classified materials due to ideological differences with the Trump administration. Quote, the recent actions of the current administration are extremely disturbing to me, end quote, he said in an email reportedly intercepted by the FBI. Quote, I do not agree or align with the values of this administration and intend to act to support the values that the United States at one time stood for, end quote. There's probably a fine line here between traitorous activity and moral conviction. Do I support this guy? Nah, I don't know anything about this guy. But those words, I think, let's put the shoe on the other foot for a minute. Rewind 2 years, 2 years, 1 year, Biden administration. Now, I want you to think it's the Biden administration. And I want you to think about conversations that you probably had with people that you were friends with, your loved ones, maybe your church family. Okay? Now, so put yourself back in that context. And then just listen to what this guy has to say. The recent actions of the current administration are extremely disturbing to me. I do not agree or align with the values of this administration and intend to act to support the values that the United States at one time stood for. I think I said words to that effect at least 100 times during the Biden administration on camera with y'all. So context matters a lot, doesn't it? Is this guy de facto a scumbag because he's in the Trump administration rather than the Biden administration? Because if he had said this during the Biden administration, I think a lot of us would be clapping for him. Does that mean what he did was right? No. No, that dude violated all kinds of terms and conditions of his employment. But his ethos, his motivation, yeah, you put the shoe on the other foot, it gets a little bit easier to understand where the guy's coming from. The DOJ, Department of Justice, said the FBI had initiated an investigation in March after receiving a tip about Lash's intentions. Undercover agents posing as representatives of a foreign government communicated with Lash, who began transcribing classified information on a notepad at his desk over a 3-day period. That's not allowed. He then allegedly concealed the notes in his socks and his lunchbox to remove them from the facility. Top tier security going on here, by the way. You got anything in your lunchbox? Oh, just a tuna sandwich. Okay, have a great day. On May 1st, Lash reportedly left a thumb drive containing documents marked secret or top secret at a prearranged drop-off location in the public park in Northern Virginia. Remember the garage full of secret documents that Biden had next to his Corvette while Biden apparently had stage 4 prostate cancer and Alzheimer's? While probably Elizabeth Warren and definitely Jill Biden and Hunter Biden were air quote calling the shots, acting as the de facto presidents of the United States of America. Who do you think had access to those files? Not Biden. Biden doesn't even know what planet he lives on anymore. See my previous comments about heads on spikes. It is the law of the land in the United States of America that traitors are deleted. They're permanently dealt with. Now, this guy, 28 years old, DIA's Insider Threat Division, this guy scribbled some notes on a piece of paper and pulled out a thumb drive. And this guy gets a sting operation from the FBI, which, if we're being honest, is appropriate use of FBI funds and it is appropriate FBI scope of work. That's good work. I much prefer that they're doing things like that than having gay pride parades and supporting DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And good job. Okay. But this dude, some 28-year-old kid from Alexandria, Virginia, who's probably book smart but world retarded, did some stuff that he shouldn't have done. And I'm not defending him doing it. But he got an FBI sting operation out of the deal. But the air quote most powerful people in the world, the elites, who have garages filled with banker boxes filled with TSSCI and other compartmentalized classified information sitting next to their Corvette. Nothing. Nothing. Not even a slap on the wrist. Just nothing. Getting back to the whole two-tier justice system. And then there's also the probability, the likelihood that when I say heads on spikes, it would be the Department of Justice that would take this 28-year-old kid's head and stick it on a spike. So let me be clear. What I'm talking about is the actual leadership of the country that has performed their duties in a traitorous way. Not the underlings. Not the underlings. They should get what they deserve as well. But when I say heads on spikes, I mean top tier heads on spikes. That's what I mean. He's a grown man, says Tracy Spose. Well, yeah, biologically at 28. There's a lot of 28-year-olds I've run into that are in no way men. There's a lot of 58-year-olds I've run into that are in no way men. So, on May 1st, Lash reportedly left a thumb drive containing documents marked secret or top secret at a prearranged drop-off location in a public park in Northern Virginia. Oh, he's trying to do a dead drop. He later expressed interest in obtaining citizenship from the foreign country, stating he did not expect, quote, things here to improve in the long term, end quote, said the prosecutors. Lash was arrested at a subsequent drop-off location on Thursday. He's scheduled to appear in court in Alexandria. Quote, the case underscores a persistent risk of insider threats, said FBI Director Kash Patel on X on Friday, which is interesting that this is the bandwidth. They have bandwidth for this particular insider threat, but they don't have bandwidth for all the other well documented insider threats, i.e., the files. You know, you now got Cash and Dan talking about how they are convinced that Mr. Epstein hung himself because they've seen the video. At the same time, they're saying this is when Google has dropped VO3 that is producing videos, lifelike videos, that most people can't even tell the difference between the produced, never happened, not actual VO3 video and real video. And so if we ever get a video of Epstein deleting himself in his prison cell, who's to say that that's the actual video? Because VO3 is now out. They can make whatever they want to make. Yeah. Yeah. So nothing can be trusted anymore. And I was talking with my brother Matt yesterday. We were having a phone call and just touching antennas, which we do about weekly. You know, he talks to me. We talk to each other a lot about spirit stuff, and then kind of plus each other up on business. And he's my voice coach. Started as my voice coach, which, if you've noticed, like, I say bad words on camera less than I used to. That's Matt. That's all Matt. Voiced by Matt. I'm here, man. There he is. What's up, bro? Voiced by Matt. He's right there. We're actually doing a thing together out in Cody, Wyoming, called Ruach, Breath, Wind, Spirit. It's a very small, intimate, private event, 3-day event. It'll be this beautiful ranch. We're going to be out there, just a handful of people, and we're going to be doing some deep work as a group. And so if that's something you're interested in, you can shoot me an email, admin@bearindependent.com. Yeah, it's very exclusive. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. But I'm on the phone with Matt, and we're talking yesterday, and he says words to the effect of, he said, with all this AI stuff that's coming out right now, he said, there's one thing that AI doesn't have that we have, and that's spirit. We can actually feel each other. You can feel the vibration of another human being and know in a moment, that's my brother. Or in a moment, that is not my brother. So that means, as more and more, how do we apply that, right? More and more with these existential crisis rectangles, as there's acceleration of AI and quantum computing and the digitization of everything, it's going to be easier and easier for you to lose yourself and waste your life in front of a rectangle, when what we should be doing is finding ourselves and building our life in front of people where we can feel each other, because we will not be able to tell what is real with our own eyes as it comes through these rectangles. You will not be able to believe your own eyes, but you should be able to feel. Is it living? Does it have a breath of life in it? Is it ruach, or is it dead? Is it just electricity and silicon? And so resist the urge to fall even deeper into the rectangle rabbit hole and go out of your way to spend meaningful time with people that you love and do things that matter together. Because here pretty quick, already VO3 is producing audio and video content that is basically indistinguishable from reality, other than it doesn't breathe. It has never breathed. It has no soul. There's no spirit in it. It has no heart. And so it may be weird for y'all to hear me, big tough bear from the internet, out there hunting pedophiles and punching tornadoes in the face, say this. We need to be better at feeling. But we need to be better at feeling. We need to learn to feel the energy of one another. And if that sounds, and I don't mean to be hippie about that, energy belongs to Yah. He made it. He spoke the world into existence, including us. Speaking, it's vibration. It's vibrating the vocal cords to compress air, to produce waves, which is frequency, which is vibration, that then goes into an ear, which has a diaphragm. The eardrum is a diaphragm, which then vibrates, and then biomechanically that's converted into an electric signal that's processed in your brain. AI has never breathed. There's no vibration. The air, the wind, the breath, the spirit never moves with these things. And so we need to be able to feel, is it real? And I've said this before and I'll say it again. Followers of Messiah have an unfair advantage in the days that are coming because we have the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit. They do not. There is no Holy Spirit in the rectangle. It can be used to transmit messages from one son of the Most High to another, but the device itself has no spirit in it. So we need to be real careful with that. Real careful with that. These are at best tools. This existential crisis rectangle, for all my homies out there that carry firearms or trained in the use of firearms, that understand the 4 rules of firearm safety at a minimum, safe weapons handling, can actually shoot the damn thing. All of the precautions that are taken with your everyday carry pistol should be taken with these. All of them. Don't let your kids around them until they're trained on how to use them. Don't have a negligent discharge. Be careful. Be careful with these. Treat them with respect, the respect that they're due, because they're dangerous. These are weapons. And a weapon in the hand of a righteous man is a good thing. But a weapon in the hand of an unrighteous man is a very dangerous, bad thing. So, Rick said, TJ, what time does class start today? You're talking about remote responder, and that starts at 4 p.m. Central today. 4 p.m. Central. If you've already purchased the class, or you've purchased something from Refuge that's over $299 in the month of May, you will get an automated email later today, this afternoon, with a link to the class, and it starts at 4 p.m. Central. The baby is wilding out on the other side of this door. She's just not having it. So, yeah, that's remote responder. It starts today at 4 p.m. And if you cannot review it today in real time, that link will be active for 48 hours after today. So there is a short window of grace where you can observe it as well. So Squish got into that pre-workout. Bro, she was trying this morning. So she's been learning sign language, right? As a lot of babies do. And she goes, and so this is water, right? See the W, right? Water. The 3. Oh, how interesting. Oh man, we could rosh on this just for like a hot minute. Yod, hey, vav, hey, water. Come to me, all ye who thirst. I will give you living water, right? And so, so she sees my refuge bottle, and she loves drinking out of my refuge bottle. So she's like, water. Water also resembles a sheen. Ah, the door, the gateway. 100%. Maya, look at you. Maya's doing homework. Good for you, sister. I'm like, no, baby, it's not water. And she's like, water? Water? No, it's not water. Well, she pump faked me, bro. She's like, okay. She looks over here. And then she dashes over here, grabs my water bottle, starts giggling, and runs away with it. I'm like, no, that's got 2 scoops of megawatt in it. You're gonna die. Back away, child. Back away. So, uh, remote responders today at 4 p.m. Central Time. It's going to run from 4 to 7, 3 to 7. You're going to get an email. You're going to get an email. I should know these things. I have to be at Refuge at 2 o'clock today. So, you know what? Let's just pull it up. Where's a Jamie when we need him? Double dot Refuge Medical Training Remote Responder. Oh, 3 p.m. 3 p.m. today. 3 p.m. Did I mention 3 p.m.? It's actually at 3 p.m. I need to be there at 2 o'clock to set up. You guys need to be available at 3 p.m. Central Time today for the remote responder. I'll go ahead and just grab that link and drop it in the chat for anybody who wants to be there. And the promo this month has been any order over $2.99, you get that for free, or you can buy it as a standalone for $99. So if you need a travel fac, a bear fac, or whatever, refugemedical.com. Oops, been saying 4 all week. Me too, Texas Sheep Lady. You and me, we're on the same wavelength, homegirl. You know why? Because you're not a robot, and I'm not a robot. All right, moving on. So this poor kid did something he shouldn't have done, and now he's going to catch the consequences for it. And I'm in favor of people catching consequences for their actions, both positive and negative consequences. I just think that the consequences should be applied unilaterally across the board, and that the political elites in this country should be held to the same standard as everybody else. TheBlaze.com, exclusive, massive 18-state operation shatters Chinese sex trafficking networks by Candace Hathaway. Chinese organized crime is fueling a $5 billion per year sex trafficking empire in the United States, operating numerous illicit massage parlors where 75,000 victims are enslaved and traumatized. True. This modern slavery crisis was the target of a nationwide operation on Thursday involving 18 states and more than 150 law enforcement agencies. True. Awesome. Dan Nash, the founder of Human Trafficking Training Center and a retired Missouri State Trooper, good dude, coordinated the action dubbed Operation Coast to Coast. Thursday's sweep, although I'll tell you, hey, Dan, you got some work to do close to home as well. Oh, you said the quiet part out loud. Yeah, you got a lot of work to do close to home as well. So here's the thing. They did this giant Operation Coast to Coast. They rolled up dozens of locations, hundreds of people, which is wonderful. Continuing, he's used his 27 years in law enforcement to train thousands of officers across the country on how to identify and handle these trafficking situations. Most people think, quote, most people think that the police officers are trained, but they're not. They don't get this kind of training, end quote. That is 100% true. It's a big part of what Caleb House does with our field teams when we're liaising with law enforcement. And frankly, and this is going to come as a surprise, but it shouldn't. Not all law enforcement officers are good people. Most are. Many are. But some of them are part of the problem. And typically, the way that manifests itself is a lot of these people get paid next to nothing. And so if you're, a sheriff's deputy making $15 an hour on the books, getting shot at, and then somebody says, hey, here's $1,000 a week to never look over here this way and don't bother these people. Now they're on the take. And then that relationship only deepens over time. Right? And so there's many good officers. There's many bad officers. And Both the good and the bad officers don't get any training whatsoever on counter trafficking, human trafficking. And then the ones that do, on like task forces and stuff, they're inundated. They're inundated, especially right now. One of the things that nobody's really talking about is with securing the border, which I'm in support of, anybody with a federal commission that is available, and available is determined by hire, is being sent to the southern border. So there were already weren't enough feds from a counter trafficking standpoint. And then the ones, many of them are now at the southern border. So nature abhors a void. Well, when the cat's away, the mice will play. So it's good that federally commissioned officers are running a coast to coast operation like this. That's good. Notice the purview though. Chinese massage parlors, 100%. Let's see. Nash explained that despite working in human trafficking for 17 years, he was never instructed on how to interact with victims or how to investigate trafficking cases. That's a big part of what Caleb House does with our field teams, liaising with law enforcement, teaching them, because it's different. It's different. The victims, which we choose to call survivors, are it's a different ball of wax. These are people that have been ritually abused and traumatized, exploited. Their innocence was stolen from them. Their self-esteem and self-worth is completely depleted, destroyed. They've been intentionally broken physically and psychologically in many cases so that they will make poor witnesses on the stand so that they can't testify against their abusers. And it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. So this is a big part of what we do at Caleb House. I was speaking with a brother yesterday that's just getting involved with counter trafficking in California. He's like, there's this event going on. Just I want to extend the invitation for you guys to come out here and network and do your thing. And what I said to him is what I said to him. But in a nutshell, I said, number one, some of these people that are at this event are known intel operatives. Watch your ass. Number two, some of the people that are at this event are known grifters. They don't do anything except collect funds and talk on stage. So be careful of that. Number three, you should ask yourself something. The people that are on these conference circuits talking about counter trafficking, why do they have the time and availability to talk about counter trafficking? Because the people that are actually doing it don't have the time and availability. Again, thank you for the invite, but we don't have the time to just drop everything, go out to California for a few days and stand on stage and talk because we're doing stuff. And what would we talk about? Because if we violate our own operational security, it negates all the good works that we've done and it puts good people at risk. So you got to ask yourself, the people that have the time and the latitude to talk on stage ad nauseum about these things, why? Because the people who are actually doing stuff don't have the time and can't talk about it. And so that's a pretty good indicator. It's a good sifting mechanism between those who are doing and those who are talking. They tend to be two different groups. So, Bravo Zulu here again. The feds. Look at these feds doing good stuff, man. Regarding the Chinese organized crime syndicates, Nash explained that they are the fastest growing in all of America, noting a 32% increase over the past 3 years. These groups operate 19,000 of the illicit massage businesses currently operating in the country. Now, we've talked previously, definitely in the state of Oklahoma, but elsewhere as well. These sanctioned grow operations are all staffed by trafficked Chinese labor. And what the Chinese are doing is they're producing, in many cases, above the board funds, which are then spent on things here in America that I don't want to get too tinfoil on you, but this is documented fact that if slash when China ever goes hot with the United States of America, they have millions of Chinese people here. Chinese people, not Chinese Americans, Chinese people here. And they have billions of dollars of supplies. What supplies, Bear? All the prepper stuff: food, water, shelter, firearms and ammunition, training, intel, commo, etc., 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 etc. And so they have their own irregular forces here in the United States of America that are being funded in part with legalized above the board funds. So rather than trying to wash those funds, they spend them here on things that support their missions here. And every one of the, check this out. Here's the part that's not being talked about. Every one of those 19,000 massage parlors is an intel gathering opportunity. And intel, and China is very good at wide intel gathering. They get thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of contact reports a day. And they aggregate all of that and boil it down. It's like making maple syrup, man. They are the intel equivalent of making maple syrup. And every one of those 19,000 just massage parlors, not any other businesses, 19,000 massage parlors is an intel gathering opportunity. And tale as old as time. Look at Samson and Delilah. Men tend to talk when their pants are off. It's a fact. Okay. People don't understand the scope of what we're dealing with. And the other thing that people don't understand is people tend to think that items, operations, businesses, individuals operate with one course of action, one scope. And that's not true. In fact, the more complicated things get, the more boxes I want to be able to check, the more purviews I need to be able to serve with a single action. And so, massage parlor. What does the massage parlor do? I don't mean the brass tacks of what it does. I mean, what does it do? Okay, so it gives them a foothold in an area. It allows for the collection of intelligence. It allows them to establish pattern of life for certain individuals, which allows them to then co-opt certain individuals while creating a revenue stream, which can then be spent here domestically above the board to acquire material that is in support of China's efforts here in the United States of America, and creates a revenue stream that's below the board, which can be funneled back to China to support the CCP while demoralizing the United States of America. That's 8 things right there. It's not one thing. That's 8 things. And there's probably a dozen more. So, chess, not checkers. I'm sure that's a phrase that you've heard before. Oh, 4-dimensional chess. Yeah, man. Like, learn to play 9D chess because it's at least 8 things. It's not one thing. And that's part of what makes it so complicated, because now you're going to have a counter trafficking task force going here and bust, all these different locations, which is great. But what they're going to run into is, and this is very common, people don't tend to do one bad thing. They're not a stand-up citizen other than the fact that they're trafficking people. No, they're scumbags across the board. And so it's not one law enforcement purview, it's a half a dozen law enforcement purviews. They were trafficking people, and they had illegal weapons, and they're laundering funds, and they're buying politicians, and. Yep. And probably, here's the nobody, I know, nail salons too, Rick S. And here's the other thing that nobody wants to talk about because they can't stomach it, but it's 100% true. When these victims are used up, they go to chop shops where their organs are harvested. If they can be bred, they are bred, and then a baby is produced, and that baby is born off the books into a lifestyle of slavery. And then the mother is chopped up for parts. Wash, rinse, repeat. These people are the epitome of evil. And if you have time to go to a conference and talk about it instead of doing something about it, you are literally grifting off the death and exploitation of human beings to serve your own purposes. And that's disgusting and immoral. And I hope the Father deals with you appropriately. Because some of us have work to do. Some of us are pretty damn busy. So, calebhouse.org, Caleb with a K, if you want to volunteer your time, volunteers at calebhouse.org. Help us build our restoration facilities if the Spirit convicts you. Oh, sorry, guys. We didn't even get through one paragraph of the written brief. Nippon Steel. Guys, it's happening. Nippon Steel. Nippon Steel's buying U.S. Steel. Macy's cut its full year profit guidance. So that's an economic indicator. Foreign investors are sending U.S. clear message they're done financing our spending spree. A tepid 20-year Treasury bond auction last week triggered a massive sell-off, pushing the 30-year Treasury yield to 5.089%. And And Japan is in the middle of its own fiscal crisis, which was, quote, worse than Greece's fiscal crisis. You know, I'll tell you, you remember when Greece had their financial crisis? One of the things that just entertained the hell out of me was that they cut everybody's salaries in Greece. And a bailout was agreed to as long as they would reduce the monthly salary of all these bureaucrats and politicians. And so the Greeks were like, sure, no problem. And so they did. And they cut it by about 20%. So you know what the Greeks did? They instituted a political calendar, judicial calendar, with 14 months instead of 12. So the monthly rate went down, but the yearly take-home stayed the same because they added 2 months to the calendar. Do you even politics, bro? Like, that is the epitome. Just disgusting. Let's see. Zechariah 6 video will be up later today. If you're part of the crew that watches the Bible videos, I would really or even if you're not, I would really recommend this one because Zechariah 6 is one of the most pivotal chapters in the Bible. So that'll be up this evening. So stay tuned for that. It's huge implications, Zechariah 6, and not something you hear people talking a whole lot about. Yeah. Jessica Powell. You're welcome. We fight not against flesh and blood, but against nations and principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. Therefore, put on the whole armor of Elohim. So, you know, I have found that it does not serve me to think too long about the implications of what Caleb House does. Because you get lost in the sauce. What I have found that serves not just me, but the kingdom and Elohim is to just execute. Just execute. What's the link to the Bible videos? D-Bert, they're right here on YouTube, homie. Shalom, Wubby. They're right here on YouTube. There's 2 playlists, a New Testament and an Old Testament, and that video will post here on YouTube this evening. Don't think, just move. Exactly the lamppost. Exactly. Yeah, thought about how you deal with it. Prayer, tears on occasion, an absolute conviction of the Most High that this purpose is not just worthy, it's my purpose. It's a huge part of why the Father made me to be me. And it, if you don't know the origin story of Caleb House, it was not my idea. It was God's idea. And he told me we were helping another facility. And I was praying to him one morning, just conversational prayer, giving praise. I said, man, this is so important. This is so good. And he's like, yeah. I was like, man, the world needs more of these. He's like, yeah. He's like cheering me on. I was like, dude, it's so impactful. This is so important. Like, thank you, Father, so much. He's like, yeah. I was like, there's got to be more of this going on. And he goes, yeah. And you're going to build them. And time stopped. And I was like, what? I don't know how. I know nothing about counter trafficking. I know nothing. No, I don't even know where to begin. And the creator of the universe said, you build the buildings, I'll handle the rest. Okay. And that's what we've been doing ever since. And it's not even me building buildings anymore. We have an amazing construction crew and amazing volunteers. And I'm like, I do some dirt work and cut some trees down. And then they're like, you want it here? And I'm like, yep, that looks good. And they're like, okay, we'll build the house here. And we have amazing field teams and amazing white collar teams of medical and psychological professionals, legal teams, victim services teams, and a board of directors. And the Father has just been building it. And I don't want to do this. I think that's really important to understand. I want to go to the beach with my wife and drink a margarita. Well, she drinks a ginger beer because baby number 5 is on the way. That's what I want. I want to go on another ski trip with my family this winter. I want to grow old and bounce my great-grandchildren on my knee. I want to build my kids' houses next door. But right now we got to build Ya's kids' houses, not next door. I don't want to be involved in counter trafficking. I do not seek to make a name in the counter trafficking space and speak at events on behalf of Caleb House and do all of these things. But I am required to. By the creator of the universe. And if I don't, he will wreck me. And I have no interest in waging yet another war against somebody who controls all of the resources in known existence and separating myself from him again. And so therefore, my only option is obedience. And it is challenging on many occasions to find joy in the obedience because of the subject nature of what the obedience entails. But I will tell you this: the stories of overcoming that maybe one day, 20 years from now, when these kiddos are grown up and of their own volition decide that they want to tell their story, which I will never tell on their behalf because they have every right to privacy. But when you get to see these stories of overcoming unfolding in real time, there's joy in that. And it makes it impossible to think for a moment that God isn't real and isn't sovereign. And that's what I can't be disobedient to. And thus, Caleb House. Better do you know Kathy O'Brien? No, and I'd like to keep it that way. How's that for an answer? Oh, I love you all. I got to go process a sheep. Somebody asked earlier, when's Shavuot? Sunday. We renew our marriage covenant with the creator of the universe by the blood of the Son on Sunday. I will see y'all when I see you. Shalom.